Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Kristen Welker. In just hours, the Uvalde City School Board will hold what will likely be an emotional and heated public meeting. It comes just a day after a House committee released a scathing report on the police's response to May's shooting at Robb Elementary School, calling the tragedy that left 19 children and 2 teachers dead the result of systemic failures. The committee, however, found no one other than the gunman himself to be to blame for the shooting. According to its report, despite a robust police response, the committee found a breakdown in the chain of command, along with egregiously poor decision-making. In the midst of the shooting, no one called the Robb Elementary's principal to ask about the location of a master key for the school. And the school district's police chief testified that he immediately began to think of the attacker as being cornered and the situation as being one of a barricaded subject. The police chief told the committee he would have acted differently had he known injured victims were in the classrooms. The chair of the committee that conducted the investigation issued this warning yesterday.
The people of Uvalde before this, they felt it couldn't happen here. They felt that. That's the false sense of security I worry about. I think some of the same systems that we found here that failed that day are across the entire state and country. And I do not want to say because of one thing or one person here, it could not happen elsewhere.
We are going to speak to that person, State Representative Dustin Burrows. In just a few moments, we're going to get new answers about the report. The city of Uvalde has also released body cam video from some of the 376 police officers who responded to the scene that day. The video shows the confusion among them. Despite the heavy police presence, it took more than an hour to take down the gunman. Meanwhile, Uvalde's mayor has announced the city's acting police chief has been placed on leave while the city conducts its own investigation into his department's response. All of this comes as we learn about another mass shooting less than 24 hours ago. 3 people killed, 2 others injured at a mall just outside of Indianapolis. The shooter was taken out by a witness who was armed. It also comes as a jury decides whether the gunman who killed 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, 4 years ago, remember that one, receives the death penalty or life in prison. And this nearly 80-page report out of Uvalde, which details the failed law enforcement response. It is just scathing. It's devastating. There was already outrage among the victims' families. And I know you've been talking to folks there on the ground. What has the reaction been?
Well, Kristen, people are angry, and they are continuing to be angry for weeks. They have been told to wait until this investigation plays out before passing judgment, before blaming anyone. And now the facts have been laid out, and it is just as bad as many people thought that it would be, laying out just failure after failure on the part of law enforcement as it relates to the security protocols at the school and how they were being followed by folks. And so people here are angry, and the conversation now is turning towards accountability and what that is going to look like. You mentioned the school board meeting later on today where undoubtedly this anger is going to be on full display, particularly as it relates to the school police chief, Pete Arredondo, who was initially said to be the incident commander, but who told the Texas Tribune and also said in testimony that he did not believe that he was in charge of the scene. But many people here do feel that he bears responsibility. They have been calling for him to be fired. And now that this information has been released, that is absolutely going to come up at the school board meeting tonight if there is no update from the school district before that, because people are angry and they want to see action and they want to see that accountability and they want to see it now. Kristen?
And Priscilla, you talk about the school board meeting tonight. Based on what I have been reading, it seems as though the families are outraged in part because they don't feel like they're getting the answers they need, even in the wake of the release of this nearly 80-page report. How much are there going to be calls for better communication with the families at this school board meeting tonight?
Well, in my conversations with the families, I have to say many of them say they don't know if they'll ever be able to trust the information that they're being given from officials here. Some of them, even as they were talking about the report, saying they don't know how much of that they can trust. And I think that is just a sign of the misinformation and the sort of conflicting stories that they've been told over the past several weeks. But I think what they are really focused on now is that, okay, we've gotten some of the information. We already feel like we have a sense based on what they have seen on video, and that's the body cam footage and also the surveillance video. And so they really are turning to accountability. And I did speak with the great-grandfather of Lexi Rubio, one of the victims in this shooting, about that accountability and what it should look like and what he would like to see happen. And I want to play a little bit of that conversation.
Not what they should do to them.
Which is
like I
what?
said, in my book, they should fire them and take their pension away and give it to the parents that lost kids and the ones that the kids are traumatized because they were wounded. Okay, that's what I think they should do. Beginning with the superintendent and ending with the school board, starting with the mayor, the city, most of the city council, and the cops.
And so you hear him there saying that everybody needs to go. It's not just the police officers, it's the city council, it's the school board, it's everyone. And so we'll certainly be listening for any additional outrage and reaction from that as people fight for that accountability here, Kristen.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.